There was a time when the first Renault 5 burst onto the scene like a little bomb, shaking up the fledgling world of city cars. However, the R5 didn't really offer any luxury, except for the luxury of being able to afford a new car without breaking the bank. Driving enthusiasts could let loose with an Alpine version, or even a turbo for the most passionate. But to call the entry-level Renault chic, that would be pushing it. Then, in September 1984, everything changed. The Super 5 arrived and Renault had to double their efforts. Why? Because the Peugeot 205 had arrived like a bulldozer, forcing the Régie to rethink its fundamentals. If the Gran Turismo Turbo was taking on the 205 Gran Turismo I head on, with its approach, we put a turbo and we'll see. The GTX and Baccarat, they did something downright audacious. They brought a touch of luxury to a category that had completely ignored this word until then. So today we're going back to the history of the very first luxury city cars. In 1983, Peugeot had brought out the big guns with its 205. This little lioness didn't take long to come out in a version that made everyone drool. The Gran Turismo injection launched in March 84, closely followed by the Turbo 16 with only 200 copies, but with a crazy aura. The same year, Peugeot teamed up with Lacoste for a 205 with a classier look, sold between 1984 and 1986. And that same year, the 205 is available as a convertible in CT and CTI versions, making the little so-show even cooler. For the Renault 5, competition was becoming fierce in its trendy niches. For the Diamond brand, they had to keep their plans secret. The Super 5 was still holding up in terms of sales volume. But in terms of sex appeal, it was being outdone by a 205, which was more attractive in many ways. So it was tough for our Super 5. It showed up in September 1984, a year behind there where Peugeot had broken everything. With this sacred number that completely broke with the 104, the Super 5 played the card of continuity. It looked more like a major facelift, rather than a real novelty. That said, thanks to the popularity of the old 5, Renault has kept a good share of loyal customers. But this time, the competition was truly serious. In this sector, money is made on well-optioned or high-end versions, not on base models. And in this game, Peugeot was already the king. 332,000 units for the 205 Gran Turismo injection compared to only 160,000 for the Super 5 Gran Turismo Turbo. Add to that 72,500 convertibles, 205 against a handful at Renault via the Belgian EBS, about 24,000 Lacoste, and the countless Roland Garros from 1989. You see where I'm going with this? The 205 was infinitely more profitable for Peugeot than the Cinq was for Renault. But Renault had a flair. In 1987, the 205 Lacoste was finished and the Roland Garros was not yet in the works. The Régie then captured a goldmine, the chic, upscale, almost fashionable city car. The second car for the lady in the upscale neighborhoods, but which the gentleman would gladly steal for a spin on the weekend. From this marketing genius, the Renault 5 GTX was born in June 1987, available in 3- and 5-door models. 70,200 francs for the first, 75,800 francs for the second, and the 5. Baccara only in 3 doors, at a price that made you cough up 90,700 francs. Barely less than the Gran Turismo Turbo, which was offered for 1,000 francs more. GTX and Baccarat had similar body-colored bumpers in terms of appearance. Under the hood, both shared the 1,721cc of the Renault 20, and one with 90 horses to please the gentleman, all in a car weighing only 825 kg. Tinted and electric windows at the front, power steering, central locking, velvet upholstery. For the GTX, it was already pretty good for the time, but for the Baccarat, we were moving into another dimension. Leather interior, Connolly everywhere, steering wheel, dashboard specific color. And the icing on the cake, a pouch under the rear deck for Madame to slip her dress without a crease, or Monsieur his suit. This kind of refinement, we will find it later on the Renault 25 Baccara in 1988. Renault had pushed the good taste to stick 90 horses in the Baccara, but only in 5-speed manual gearbox. For the 3-speed automatic gearbox, you had to settle for the 1,397cc of 68 horses, which turned the car into a real slug. At the time, automatic gearboxes were often seen as things for women, so why give them power? Another era, isn't it? As a result, this version is ultra rare today because no one wanted such a sluggish engine. The GTX and Baccarat, renamed Monaco in Great Britain, exclusive in Germany, were produced until June 1991 at about 25,000 copies. The same year, 4 years post-launch of the small, luxurious Renaults. Peugeot tries to react afterwards and draws the 205 Gentry to respond to the R5 Baccarat, which was no longer produced, and to the future Clio Baccarat that was about to arrive. This 205, launched as a chic alternative, relies on a careful presentation. Leather celery, binding rim, metallic paint, electric and defrosting mirror, wood insert, high-end finish, and even air conditioning on some models. Powered by a 1.9-liter 105 horsepower, often sold with the optional automatic gearbox, it offers honest performance, but far from the aggressiveness of a Gran Turismo injection. But the Gentry struggles to impose itself and does not reach the same icon status. Today, it's quite different from how it was at the time. Peugeot was targeting the same bourgeois niche, but Renault kept a step ahead in terms of prestige. Indeed, Peugeot did not see it coming and let the super sonk Baccara establish itself in the luxury small city car market. When the Lion reacted, it was too late, and the reflex was taken in the upscale neighborhoods to turn to Renault. However, the 205 Gentry produced from 1991 to 1994 was full of quality. Although available only in 3 doors, it offered 2 specific colors, either Sorrento Green or Mayfair Beige, equipped with the same body kit as the Gran Turismo injection, but with aluminum color inserts instead of red. And you, by the way, do you prefer the R5 Baccarat, the Clio Baccarat, or the 205 Gentry? Tell me that in the comments. The Renault 5 Baccarat has undoubtedly left its impact on its era. It launched the Baccarat series, which continued on the 25, Clio, Saffron, R19, and 21. Before becoming Initial, after losing a lawsuit against the Crystal Factories, the name Baccarat evoked the glamour of casinos and gaming tables, which is a shame. Not necessarily the glassware, as prestigious as it may be. An agreement could have been found, but no. And let's be honest, Initial never managed to reposition Renault in the luxury universe, as Baccarat had done. And do you have any memories in a Renault 5? Tell me that in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss our upcoming videos.